Hello my dear class 9 students, welcome back. So today we will start a new chapter from your biology portion, that is chapter 6, tissue, okay? And you can also refer your NCERT science textbook page 69 to 79. So first let's define this tissue, okay? What is tissue? We have studied about tissues right from the class 5, 6, 7, right? So now tissue, this is a group of cells, okay? In a simple word, it is a group of cells that are similar in structure, okay? Group of cells that are similar in structures. Clear? Group of cells similar in structures, and they work together, okay, to perform a particular function. Work together to perform a particular function. Let's say example would be many, but muscle cells, clear? Muscle cells, xylem, phloem, clear? Now, in simple word, this tissue would be a group of cells that are similar in structure and they work together to achieve a particular function, okay? Now, students, in this chapter, we will study separately about plant tissue, as well as we'll study separately about the animal tissue. So first we'll discuss about the plant tissue in details, clear? But we have to know the difference between the animal tissue and the plant tissue in the first place, clear? We have to know the basic difference between the animal tissue and the plant tissue. So now we'll discuss their difference. So students, now here the dead supportive tissue, okay? The dead supportive tissue in plants, the dead supportive tissue in plants are more abundant, than the living tissue, okay? Than the living tissue. See, this is the first point, that under the plant tissue, the dead supportive tissue in plants are more than the living tissue, okay? Now, in animal tissue, this is opposite, okay? Now, in animal tissue, the living tissue are more abundant than the dead tissue, okay? Living tissue are more abundant than the dead tissue. Clear? So this is the basic first point of difference between the plant tissue and animal tissue, okay? Now, students, the second point, that will be tissue organization, okay? Tissue organization. Now you all know this tissue and you all know this organization, right? So in plants, okay, in plants, the tissue organization is towards stationary. Clear? Now, stationary means at rest, okay, at rest. Now, in animals, the tissue organization clear? The tissue organization is towards, see, it will be opposite, right? Opposite of stationary would be mobility, right? Mobility. Now, mobility means movement. Clear? Now, tissue organization is towards mobility. Clear? Okay, now students, the third point. Now let's talk about energy. Who will need more energy? It's animal tissue or plant tissue. Now animal will need more energy for maintenance. Okay. So okay, this is the first point, second point, and third point. Now more energy. Okay, more energy is required for maintenance. Okay. Now it will be opposite here. Less energy is required for maintenance. Okay. Okay, so students, I'll write the fourth point here. Okay, write the fourth point here. Okay, so students, under the plant tissue, they can be differentiated into meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Okay, permanent tissue. Clear? Under the plant tissue, you have to know that they can be divided. They can be differentiated into meristematic and permanent tissue. Now, in animals, you just have to write that such differentiation does not take place. Okay? Such differentiation does not take place. Does not take place. Okay? Plant tissue. So this is the four basic difference between the plant tissue and animal tissue, and it's very simple, students. Okay. Now the first point is about the dead tissue are more than the living tissue in plants, right? Now in the first point regarding the animal, the living tissue are more than the dead tissue. Clear? Now see, tissue organization, that is a group of cells, is towards stationary, right? Because plants, they don't walk, right? Plants, they don't walk. Yes, they move, okay? They also move. You might not be aware, but they're not because of the wind, but you know, they also move. Like, see, let's say this is a plant and here, this is a root, right? So this root is pushed by the gravity, right? Okay, now the third point. For plants, less energy is required for maintenance. Okay, see, plant tissue and animal tissue, they both required energy. So for plants, less energy is required, and for animals, more energy is required. Okay, and the last point is they can be differentiated into meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Okay, and whereas like for animal, such differentiation does not take place. Okay, so you can note this 4 point of difference between the plant tissue and animal tissue. And in the next topic, we are going to discuss in details about the plant tissue. Okay. Okay. So students, this is plant tissue. Okay. Now this will be the first part. Okay. Now before we start discussing about one by one in details, I want you to draw this map, okay, as well. Because if you draw this type of map, then you will understand better. Clear? Plant tissue, we can divide into meristematic and permanent tissue. Permanent tissue. Clear? So the first step of division would be meristematic and permanent tissue. Now the meaning, okay, the meaning of this meristematic is capable of division, okay, capable of division. division. Now, under the meristematic tissue, we'll have meristematic tissue, okay? We'll have three types. That would be apical, meristem, okay? Now, here we'll have lateral meristem, and the third type would be intercalary meristem. Clear? So from plant tissue, it is divided into meristematic and permanent tissue, and for under the meristematic tissue, we have these three. Okay, so that this is all about the meristematic, and then under the permanent tissue, we have simple permanent tissue. Okay, simple permanent tissue. Clear? Simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. So one type of permanent tissue would be simple and the other one would be complex. Okay, so under the simple permanent tissue, see, and sometimes you might be asked like, what are different types of simple permanent tissue? Then you have to know the name. Okay, so now get familiarized with the name. It will be parenchyma, okay, so this will be the first type of simple permanent tissue. Now, the second one would be collenchyma. Clear? And the last one would be sclerenchyma. Clear? And under the complex, we'll have xylem and phloem. Okay? Xylem and phloem, it will be further divided into xylem and phloem. So let's make it very simple. Under permanent, we have simple and complex. So under simple permanent tissue, we have parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. And under the complex permanent tissue, we have xylem and phloem. Okay, and under the xylem, after xylem, we'll have xylem vessels and tracheids. Clear? And even here, we'll have all these companion and all. So we'll discuss that all one by one. So now we'll start with this meristematic tissue. Okay, we'll start with this meristematic tissue where we will start with the apical meristem. Okay, so you have to make this table. Okay, you have to make it till this xylem and phloem. Okay, make it till this xylem and phloem. We'll discuss about this apical, lateral, and intercalary. Okay. Okay, so my dear students, here this one will be apical meristem. Okay, apical meristem. Now here the side one. Okay, the side one here would be lateral meristem, and this one will be intercalary meristem. Okay, so students, now we'll discuss about this apical meristem. Okay, now apical meristem, where you will find this one? You will find the apical meristem in the growing tips of the stem and root. Okay, where you will find the apical meristem? You will find in the growing tip of stem and root. Now, why is this very important? It is very important because now this is where the increase in growth and increase in height take place. Okay. Now this is where the increase in height take place. Now where you are going to find the apical meristem? At the growing tip of the stem and the root you will find. Keep this in mind. Apical meristem you will find in the growing tip of the stem and the roots. And here what will take place? It will take place here increase in height would take place. Growth and increase in height would take place in apical meristem. Okay. Now don't get confused here, and this would be a primary, and that would be an example of primary growth. Okay. So in plants we have discussed about the increase and growth in height, right? And that is apical meristem. Location, growing tip of the stem and the root. Okay. Now we'll discuss about the intercalary meristem. Okay. Intercalary meristem. Now where is it located? Okay. Now where are you going? Where will you find this intercalary meristem? You will find at the base of the leaf. Okay. You will find at the base of the leaf. And what about this lateral meristem? Now you'll find this one on the sides. Okay. This one you'll find on the sides. Lateral means you'll find on the sides. Now intercalary you'll find on the base. Okay. So all these three it is under the meristematic tissue. Okay. So intercalary here we are discussing about the base on the leaf, or it will be, you'll find this one on the internodes on twigs. Clear? Internodes on twigs means, see students, this part would be known as internode. Internode. Have you ever seen the stem of the grass? Right? There you'll see like this portion that is known as internode. Okay. So intercalary you'll find on the base of the leaf or internodes on twigs. Okay. And now what about this lateral meristem? Lateral. Okay. So that means it will occur on the sides. Okay. Now this is responsible for the growth of girth. Responsible for the growth of girth. Now this girth means it is to do with, if we take an example of a human being, it will be the waist. Okay, the waist type. So see, lateral meristem means all this side, right? Now this one is responsible for the growth of girth in plants. Okay, in plants. So students, today under the plant tissue we have discussed about the meristematic tissue. Okay. Now meristematic means it is capable of division. Capable of division. And how many types of meristematic tissue are there? Now we have three types. There is apical, intercalary, and lateral. Apical means on the growing tip of the stem and root. Okay. That is the primary growth. And intercalary means you'll find this on the base of the leaf and internodes on twigs. And the lateral, it will occur on the sides, okay, and responsible for the growth of girth, which means in human it is on the waist, okay. So, and this is also would be an example of secondary growth, okay, secondary growth. So students, this is all about the meristematic tissue. In the next class, now we'll start with the permanent tissue. So thank you so much students, see you in the next class.